Rob Font did defeat Cody Garbrandt in what was a pretty unanimous victory, where it got a unanimous decision, didn't it? 30-45, 30-45, and 148-47, I believe. But it was a fantastic fight. I was impressed by both competitors, and we'll get into that as to why I was impressed by both competitors. On Saturday night, obviously we had a fantastic co-main event as well. We'll get onto that, and the rest of the highlights from the main card, of course, and the prelims too. It was a fantastic Saturday and a great way to end out May, which has been such a busy month. We've got a bit of a dead week this week, and then we've got one championship, but there's obviously no UFC until June 5th now. So yes, make sure to hit that follow button, that subscribe button, and let's get into the main event. Of course, we had Rob Font versus Cody Garbrandt in what was a much anticipated bantamweight clash. Obviously, at the start of the month, we had two announced. We had Corey Sandhagen, and TJ Dillashaw, who was returning after a 2-year layoff. That one got a bit more shine than this one, probably because of the return of TJ Dillashaw and Sandhagen coming after that fantastic win against Frankie Edgar, of course, but obviously that got pushed back, and I do think that's put Rob Font in a good position in this rankings. At least, we've got to see what happens between Aljamain Sterling and Petr Yan. But Rob Font might have just booked his ticket, having been a former champion. For a title shot, I think right now he's probably the number one contender, or maybe number two with Petr Yan. But that fight's already, at least in my mind, confirmed. But outside of that, I think Rob Font might have just punched his ticket through a title shot there with that win against Cody Garbrandt. Now, of course, Garbrandt, a former champion, he is 1-4 in his last 5 fights. That one win against Rafael Sancho, of course. But I was equally impressed with Cody Garbrandt, even in defeat, as I was with Rob Font in victory as well. Rob Font uses reach advantage very well. He's using that jab perfectly. He was boxing up Cody Garbrandt, but equally Cody Garbrandt's chin and his resilience impressed me as well. I think had that been the Cody Garbrandt before the Rafael Sancho fight, I think he gets knocked out. I think, as the Pedro Munoz fights and the two TJ Dillashaw fights went, when it became a firefight, he often, lost his composure and lost there. But there was times where he got rocked, and you think, oh, okay, we're going to see the old Cody, fire 1 or 2 back and try and get the finish and get out of there, rather than using his footwork, his head movement, and his basics to game himself out of harm's way. And he did that very well on Saturday night. I think with his wrestling, whenever he felt it might have been too much, or the end was coming for him, he went into that takedown. Not all of them successful. We'll go through the statistics later on, but he managed to go 5 rounds where, personally I gave it 4-1 to Rob Font. I think I gave Cody the first round or second round, and I'd have to rewatch it again. And then I thought Rob Font took it over from that point on. But I think this division, in my opinion, is the best division in MMA and in the UFC as well. And Rob Font certainly, he's gone quiet. He's not the superstar of this division. I think Petr Yan, because he beat Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo's in there, Frankie Edgar, Cody Garbrandt, TJ Dillashaw's returning. He isn't the man who's going to sell you 1 million pay-per-views. But he's certainly putting in his work, and that showed on Saturday night. And he's on a 4-fight win streak, having beaten Sergio Pettis, Ricky Simon, Marlon Moraes, and Cody Garbrandt. And obviously Moraes and Sergio Pettis have been champions in other organisations, with Sergio Pettis currently the Bellator champion. So he's put on some, good names on his record. And I think he's looking up now, rather than looking who's behind him. For Cody Garbrandt, a lot of people say he needs to finish, needs to retire. I think had he been, knocked out by one of those strikes, I think you'd probably have a case for him, maybe not retiring, but going to a Bellator or going to a different organisation such as PFL. But I think he showed some heart in there, and I think that's, at least in my opinion, won him back on side, I think. But to have a look at the results, 183 strikes landed there out of 374, 78 out of 159 for Cody, 126 significant strikes there out of 365 there for Rob Font, 63 in favour of Cody Garbrandt, of course, 2 out of 3 takedowns for Rob Font, and 3 out of 10 for Garbrandt. So you can see what Garbrandt's escape plan was. Obviously, he did have that disadvantage in the reach, but he was able to clinch up pretty nicely and get in and close the distance quite frequently. He was just unable to get the official takedown scored. Rob Font kept popping back up, as did Garbrandt on a couple of occasions as well. But it was a really solid fight, and I'm glad it went 5 rounds. Had it gone a little earlier, I think, you saw Cody Garbrandt going up against that fence like he did against the Sancho, and almost, You could see him powering up that right hand, but fortunately for Rob Font, he never let that get the better of him and get ahead of himself. And yeah, I think Cody Garbrandt really he impressed me on the night. I think the stick he's getting on social media is a bit harsh and a bit unfair for him, because yeah, I think, as I mentioned, the previous version of Cody Garbrandt gets knocked out in that fight. And you could say maybe a previous version of Cody Garbrandt wins that fight. The Cody Garbrandt that we saw against Dominic Cruz, and in the build-up to Dominic Cruz probably wins that fight. But, based on the most recent sort of examinations of Cody Garbrandt we have, I think we can give him a bit of respect and a bit of credit for his performance on Saturday night. And to have a look at the rankings, of course, obviously Rob Font may move up above Sandhagen when the rankings come out tomorrow. Maybe doubt it. Cody Garbrandt's probably going to move down to 5th or 6th. Although, Marlon Moraes is on a heavy loss streak. Jose Aldo has got to fight Pedro Munhoz, of course. So it's a bit of a sticky one. Obviously, Sterling and Yan needs to happen. This division probably on pause until that does, whether that happens by October, November. Obviously, if TJ beats Corey Sandhagen, then it sticks a bit of a hammer in Rob Font's title plans, because obviously TJ Dillashaw, a former champion, relinquishing the belt due to his suspension, etc., is going to want to get that back. And he, maybe not rightfully has a bigger say in getting a title shot than Rob Font does, because of the name he brings and the eyes he brings to the sport as well. So yes, Sterling Yan has to happen. Sandhagen, if he beats TJ Dillashaw and beats and Sterling beats Yan, then it might be in a bit of a sticky situation, because obviously Sterling, having already beaten Sandhagen quite convincingly, albeit it was a very quick fight, you could say it was lucky, but Sterling submitted him with ease, and it was a very beautiful performance. But since then, Corey Sandhagen has put beautiful wins together, beautiful finishes together as well, should we say, that have been more highlighted than Rob Font's victories, you could say. So it is a tough one, but again, if Aljamain Sterling remains champion and Corey Sandhagen wins, Rob Font probably will get the next title shot. If TJ wins, you probably see TJ get a title shot, no matter who the champion is at that point in October, November, by the end of the year. So Rob Font could need another fight, whether that is a Jose Aldo or Pedro Munhoz winner, whether that's the Sandhagen or TJ loser, we don't know. But for him and for what he's done on Saturday night was very impressive, and he's rightfully earned his spot near the top of that bantamweight division.